Durban arrived and came to his assistance. For whatever motive, White determined to attack the Boer forces gathering in front of him, which he seriously underestimated. General White resolved to attack the Boer positions using much the same tactics that had been used at Talana and Elandslaagte, an artillery bombardment followed by a frontal and a flanking infantry attack. On 29 October 1899, a newly arrived balloon from England, crewed by the Royal Engineers, was sent up, to the amazement of the inhabitants of Ladysmith, to observe the Boer dispositions. The Orange Free State Boers were still to the west of Ladysmith, although it was feared that they would soon join their Transvaal brothers, creating an army significantly stronger than White's force in Ladysmith. White's plan was based on the assumption that Pepworth Hill and Long Hill were the Boers' main position, and that they would remain there during the course of any attack the British might make. White appears to have considered he would be able to defeat the Boers in much the same way that his subordinates had beaten them at Talana Hill and Elandslaagte. The difference now was that the Boers were present in substantially greater strength than was available to White, and were commanded by an effective and resourceful general in Erasmus. British losses from Grimwood's and Hamilton's brigades were 60 killed and 240 wounded. Of Carleton's force at or short of Nicholson's Neck, 29 officers and 898 men were taken prisoner, with 4 mountain guns. 52 men were killed and 150 wounded. Around 80 men escaped from Trengula and returned to Ladysmith, mainly gunners and drivers who were carried along by the bolting mules. Total British casualties were around 1,400. The Boers are said to have suffered around 200 casualties. Due to a combination of strategic rashness in permitting his outnumbered force to be too far north when the Boers invaded Natal, and timidity in conducting operations, White permitted a substantial British force to be locked up in Ladysmith. Attempting to preserve the illusion that he still commanded a field force, White refused to allow his cavalry regiments to escape the siege and join Buller to the south of the Tugela River, where they would have been invaluable. Instead, they languished inactive in Ladysmith for the months of the siege. Finally, the garrison ate the horses. Buller's strategy was hamstrung by the necessity to relieve Ladysmith, it being inconceivable that such a large force be permitted to fall into Boer hands. At every turn, the Boers knew that Buller's strategic imperative was to relieve Ladysmith. White did little to assist Buller, nearly losing Ladysmith to a vigorous Boer attack through his failure to ensure that the town was properly defended. However, Dennis Reitz makes the point that the siege of Ladysmith was a major distraction for the Boers from the main task of invading Natal. While the Ladysmith garrison contained a substantial British force, proportionately to the Boer population, the resources required to besiege them were much greater. The Battle of Ladysmith, as opposed to the defence and relief of Ladysmith, is not a battle honour for the British regiments that took part. All the regiments that fought in South Africa received the battle honour South Africa, with the dates of presence in the country. 31st October 1899, the day of the Battle of Ladysmith, Lombard's Kop and Nicholson's Neck, was known in Britain as Mournful Monday. White's army was saved from much greater disaster by the steadfastness of the Royal Field Artillery 53rd and 13th Batteries. Major Abdy interposed his 53rd Battery between Grimwood's retreating infantry and the Boers. When the 53rd Battery came to withdraw, one of the gun limbers and horse teams was destroyed by a Boer artillery shot. Lieutenant Thwaites extracted the gun with a new team. Lieutenant Higgins retrieved an overturned gun. Second Lieutenant John Norwood of the 5th Dragoon Guards received the Victoria Cross for galloping back 300 yards under heavy fire to recover a wounded man during the final retreat to Ladysmith. Private William Sibthorpe received the Distinguished Conduct Medal for returning to assist Norwood bringing the wounded man in. Norwood reported Sibthorpe's conduct, but not his own, which was disclosed by Sibthorpe. General French, with his ADC Major Haig, both to achieve supreme command in the First World War, was ordered to leave Ladysmith to take up his appointment commanding all the cavalry in South Africa. French and Haig came out in the last train before the siege began and were under fire during the journey. The Royal Engineers balloon proved of considerable use during the siege in spotting Boer guns and was frequently fired on by the Boers, although never brought down. Joubert, the Boer commander, came under heavy criticism from his men for permitting the British troops under Hamilton and Grimwood to withdraw into Ladysmith without a more vigorous pursuit. When urged to join a general assault on the retreating British, Joubert is reported to have said, "When God holds out a finger, don't take the whole hand." That is the end of this podcast on the Battle of Ladysmith. I hope you have enjoyed it, and thank you for listening. I would invite you to look at the BritishBattles.com site on the battle, where you will find pictures of the battle and images of the regiments that took part, with a map of the battle. Finally, I would invite you to look at the list of British Battles podcasts on www.britishbattles.com/BritishBattles-com-podcasts.